How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It is time once again. We are here once again for the NFL Picks Show live stream, this time for week 14 of the 2022 NFL season, and coming off a pretty strong week, like a week that kind of felt like getting back to normal, if that makes any sense. Felt a lot closer to getting back to normal than we've been the last couple of weeks, where the straight up picks have been fine, but the betting picks have obviously left plenty to be desired. So we're getting back to the happy side of things, I guess is the way that we'll put that. I'm in my Packers green since the Packers are on bye this week. We need to get our Packers content somewhere, and I guess it's going to have to come from me. Chad in the chat saying I went 11 out of 15 games. Excellent. Very good. Is that straight up or against the spread, Chad? Not bad. I wish I had more money to bet, but still not bad. Yeah, my God. 11. Well, it would have been either 11-4 or 11-3-1. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Martin's in the chat saying hello, Justin. Hello, Martin. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Straight up. Hey, man, look. 11-3-1. Not a thing in the world wrong with that. Have a sip of our tea. Now, usually this is the part where I would be, I'm getting all my programs up and running. No, I've now finally, it's taken me 14 weeks, but I am now finally #professional streamer. And I've already shared the link. I've already got my audio program up and going. We're ready to roll here. Again, it only took me 14 weeks, but we're finally on our game here. All right. Without any further ado, we got a short week this week. I'm endeavoring to have the stream be about an hour 15. That's my goal. That's what we're set at. We're only 2 minutes in. We might as well go right ahead and get ourselves started. We got 3 people live in the chat up to this point. We're going to get going here. Give you the TV countdown once again in 5, 4, 3. What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees, and welcome to week 14 of my weekly NFL football pick show for the 2022 NFL regular season and postseason. And for the first time since I believe it was all the way back in week 7, we were above 500, not just at 500, above 500 across the board last week, straight up against the spread and over under. A very solid week of picks heading into the absolute stretch run. We are staring right down the pipe of the fantasy football playoffs. We are heading down the stretch of the regular season. It's a good time to catch fire. Straight up 10-4-1 last week in the NFL has me 115-78-2 on the season, right around 59%. We are continuing our push towards 60, and it is going well. Against the spread and over under, very solid week last week, 9-6 in both cases, 9-6 against the spread and 9-6 on the totals. That was, of course, buoyed by, I believe, 7 games of the 15 last week that I swept. I got him straight up, I got him against the spread, and I got him over under. There were 7 games that I swept last week, including a perfect prediction in Cincinnati, Kansas City. I perfectly predicted Bengals upset, Bengals cover against the spread, the perfect call on the over under, and correctly predicted the final score of 27-24 Cincinnati. It doesn't happen very often, but I like to shout it out when it does. Perfect prediction on Bengals-Chiefs. Joey Burrow might just have the Chiefs number. Now, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks. I was even money last week, 6-6. The bronze pick and the gold pick only went 1-2. Means I'm 21-17-1 on the bronze pick and 18-20-1 on the gold pick. So the gold pick continuing to struggle, including 3-10 on the total. Just awful in that one. In the bronze pick, the Falcons lost their game against the Steelers. The Chargers failed to cover against the spread, but at least Washington and the Giants stayed under by the slightest of margins, which Martin brought up in the comments of the stream last week, the comments of the VOD, that they stayed under by about a half point. I think it was like 40 and a half, and they got to exactly 40, of course, tying that game. Gold pick, Cleveland beat the Texans, but Atlanta failed to cover against the spread, and the Browns and Texans failed to go over the point total of, I believe it was 47 and a half. They did not get over in that game. But what that means is the silver pick and the platinum pick, they were both 2-1, so solid performances for those two. The silver pick, still the best pick on the season so far at 25 and 14. The platinum pick, 23, 15 and 1. So solid seasons for both of those so far. Silver pick, the Packers, these guys beat the Bears. The Rams covered as underdogs against the spread, but the Colts and the Cowboys failed to stay under, given that the Cowboys blew up for like 31 unanswered points in that game. And with the platinum pick, Dallas beating Indianapolis. Tennessee failed to cover against the spread, but the Packers and the Bears went over on the point total. So even money, will certainly take it. Taking a peek at the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em Pool for season 11 of this show, I'm sitting in 11th place out of 36, coming off a really good week in week 13, 98 of 120 possible confidence points. It's over 81.5%, which is a solid performance. Brings me up to 996 points on the season, 63.6%, pushing towards 65. Shout out to our week 13 winner for the second week in a row. That would be Team Power, who is on just an incredible run here. So let's see. In week 12, they went 13-3, and in week 13, they went 12-2-1. So an incredible run here, picking up 109 of 120 possible confidence points, just under 91%. Good enough to win the second straight week, and just this close to taking over the overall lead. In fact, if the Saints would have upset the Bucks last night, we would see Team Power as our new overall leader. They did not, so AIM 2022 remains the overall leader in the pool, 118.75 and 2 straight up. 1,053 out of 1,567 confidence points. It's 67.2%. Worth noting here, the top nine in the pool are all within 50 points. So within one really good week, anybody in the top 9 could catapult themselves into the top 5, up into the top 3, or even take over the overall lead. It's still that close this deep into the season. Still anybody's game up top. We're going to take a peek now into Fantasy Corner, which is, of course, presented to you by the Dynasty Trade Calculator. The Dynasty Trade Calculator is available at my affiliate link, which is down in the description below. And for as little as a cup of coffee, you can gain access to one of the absolute best tools available to you online for dynasty, keeper, and long-term fantasy football. And look, it has helped me win championships. In fact, my ring is right over there. And if it was within reach, you know what? One of these days, I'll show it to you. I think I've shown it on camera before, but I'll show it to you one more time. It's helped me win championships, trade evaluations, player rankings, all kinds of great podcasts with some incredibly learned experts in Dynasty Fantasy Football. If such a thing exists, you're going to find them on the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Find my affiliate link in the description below. So, was not a successful week for me in the 2 long-term leagues that I am in. In the Professionals Dynasty, I lost a matchup I expected to lose against Rich, who's one of the elite teams in the league this year. And that league's been a gong show for me all season. I'm only 2-11. I'm outside of the playoff picture, of course. In the Ante and Co League, I picked up a loss against Richard in a game that at one point I was 80-20 to win that matchup. And my players underperformed. Started with Justin Herbert, who was my starting quarterback, and it just cascaded down from there. I wound up losing that matchup. I'm 7-6 on the season. I am still in 6th place. 8 teams make the playoffs. I am in good shape to make the playoffs, but I want a solid performance in this, the last week of the fantasy regular season. I have week 14 matchups against Mitch and Rachel in those two leagues respectively. It's a projected win for me against Mitch, who I believe is going to be Mitch is a playoff team. And with Rachel in the Auntie and Co league, we're the same record, 7-6. So we are jockeying for position there in the playoff picture. Right now, that matchup is too close to call. It's going to be a heck of a week in fantasy. Best of luck to Mitch and a little bit less luck to Rachel. All right, I'll take this opportunity now, as I always do, to remind you that if you go to the description of this live stream, the description of the VOD, the podcast episode, wherever you interact with this show, you're going to find all of my results from last week, all of my straight up against the spread and over under plays for week 14 in the NFL. You're going to find information on joining the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em Pool for season 11 of this show. It is not too late. If you win a week, you get yourself shouted out on this show. You can find information on joining the NFL YouTube Prognosticators Facebook page, and you can find information on my great friends and sponsors. They're right here at Nerd Teas and Coffee Beans. Ladies and gentlemen, the good folks at Nerd Teas and Coffee Beans offer you what they've offered you for years. Dozens and dozens of incredible loose leaf tea blends and tea accessories, and more than 30 incredible blends of coffee, which they have obviously opened up into this year. And they have one they're featuring in their physical store right now. I think it was chocolate caramel, and it looks like it would just be incredible. I only wish I was in Woodstock so I could go in and have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever you like, in the physical location. You don't have to do that. You can go to nerdteas.ca and you can place an order online. And when you do that, you can use my promo code, which is BWFinest, a promo code that is in fact better than this read. Nerdteas.ca. Use the promo code BWFinest. That's going to save you 15% at checkout. You're going to get free shipping in Canada on any order over $100, which is excellent value. And if you're one of my viewers in the US, you're going to get a great conversion rate on the US dollar. Today's blend in Nerd Teas is a golden apple cinnamon that I have had for actually quite some time. It's one of my preferred blends with Nerd Teas, but you're going to find something that is incredible and just right for you. Dozens and dozens of options there on nerdteas.ca. Use that promo code BWFinest, save your 15%, get your free shipping, find yourself something to love, and find someone you love something to love. You can do it on nerdteas.ca, and I promise the read will be better next week. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot going on here in the chat. Chad says hello, all friends. Boom, boom. Martin, congrats on the perfect game. You also had a reversal with the Monday Night Football game. Yeah, boy, that Monday night game was looking good for a while because it looked like Tampa Bay was not going to figure it out. And I was well on my way to at least another sweep. If not, maybe not a perfect prediction, but at least another sweep. But Tampa Bay woke up with that game-winning drive, and who knows, that could be Tom Brady waking up as well. Let's see. You picked right on Tampa Bay, just the wrong team. Yeah, exactly. Brian, Justin, with a few tweaks on your picks, I had a very good week. 320 returns a net 1256. Very nice. I like that. Well done. TJ Harmon's in here. I'm here. Thank you so much. Yeah, it could have been better. Tennessee choked in the fourth quarter. Van Ryan is just playing bad. Yeah, unfortunate for Tennessee. And we got to talk about Tennessee because Tennessee's got some stuff going on. TJ, I had 109 too. Very nice. Aaron Rodgers beating the Bears is like Ash and Pokemon losing in the final battle after all those years of trying. Pokemon references on the Bridgewater's Finest YouTube channel. We got to love it. Paxton Daly in the chat. I forgot to make my picks on Thanksgiving and he dropped. Very upset at myself over this. Yeah, boy, it sucks. I've had it happen periodically in other pick'em leagues before as well. It sucks. It is no fun. My heart goes out to you. I feel for that. Golden Apple Cinnamon. Does this mean Alice and the Mad Hatter would want that, or even Megan Droid? from the new movie in January. Oh, God. Okay. Let's talk about that trailer for a second. I understand that it's not football related, and this is going to get cut out of the podcast, but whatever. I don't care. So, okay. This new movie, this horror movie with this android named Megan, all of that premise is fantastic. I love the premise. I'm a sci-fi dork, so I enjoy that premise. But like, why does she have to do like a weird erotic dance at one point when she finally turns and becomes a murderous cyborg? Like, why does she have to do this weird, like, belly hip thrusting dance? It makes absolutely no sense. And it felt like it was something that came to one of the producers in a fever dream. And they were like, that's going to be in my movie one day. And people like that in Hollywood need to not have jobs. Other than that, the premise of that movie looks great. I'm hoping that I can look past that scene. We'll have to see. Let's see. Chad says Raiders. Oh my God, they're hot. Won 3 in a row. I know, that's interesting. I got feelings about that team. Titans fired their GM because AJ Brown put a whooping on Tennessee. Yeah, we gotta. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it here in a second. I'm dying to see that Megan movie. Maybe the Texans could use her. Well, they got a lot of cap space, I think. So anything here is possible. All right. We have a short week this week with only 13 games on the schedule. Let us waste no more time other than to say, found some really interesting trends when I was digging into the against the spread numbers so far this season. Not my personal numbers, but just the trends across the league in terms of teams that are performing very strongly or very weakly at home or on the road in terms of against the spread and as favorites and as underdogs. So I just wanted to share this with you before we get into the picks. I'm going to be going with some of these trends and I'm going to be bucking against some of these trends, but this is just some of the outlier information that I grabbed. Teams at home, Cincinnati 4-1 against the spread in 5 games. The Giants are 5-2. Dallas is 5-2. Detroit is 5-2 at home against the spread this year. And on the other side of that, the Broncos 1-4 against the spread as a home team this year. The Rams are also only 2-5. All of those teams at home this week. In terms of teams that are on the road this week, it doesn't look good. Jags are 1-5 against the spread on the road. The Eagles, interestingly enough, the Eagles only 1-4 against the spread on the road this season. So really, really interesting there. And then as favorites and as dogs, we know favorites haven't been performing up to snuff this year. As an against the spread favorite, the Patriots, interestingly enough, 4-1-1 against the spread so far this year. The Titans are also 4-1. The Cowboys are 5-2 as against the spread favorites. They're a massive favorite this week. And on the other side of that, the Seahawks as betting favorites only happened 4 times this year. They're only 1-3 against the spread. As underdogs, we know how many underdogs have been hitting this year. Baltimore, this is only the 3rd time this season that the Ravens have been a betting dog. They're 1-0-1 in the previous 2 games against the spread. The Giants, a massive 7-1 against the spread as betting underdogs. The Chargers, interestingly enough, 3-1 in 4 games as betting underdogs. And on the other side of that, the Rams in 6 games as betting dogs, 1-3-2 against the spread. So some interesting outlier performances there by teams that are in these situations this week. Something to keep an eye on for sure. Ooh, pardon me. Was about to get started and then the body said no. Andrew, I got to get back to work. Justin, I'll check the rest out later. If my Patriots win this week, I'll wear my I Love Breakfast t-shirt on my picks next week. I'm going to hold you to that. You got at least like 7-8 witnesses to that, and anybody that watches the VOD. So I'm going to hold you to that, Andrew. Richie Vegas in the chat saying Dallas thin ice. They won't handle real tough teams ahead. I like that. Interesting insight. Let us waste no more time, folks. We are going to get into the week 14 picks, and we are going to start with the Las Vegas Raiders on the road in Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Rams, interestingly enough, claiming Baker Mayfield off of waivers. He was waived by the Panthers, I think, yesterday, which means the Rams are on the hook for somewhere in the neighborhood. It's under $2 million, but they're on the hook for the rest of his 2022 salary. They said they're going to fly him out and he could start as early as this week. That seems really interesting to me because not that I think he would thrive in that offense right now, but you're trying to get the guy out there to have him start on like 2 days notice. How rudimentary is that play call sheet going to be? It's like, here's 5 pass plays and 2 runs, like get out there. It's like, really? That seems like not enough time. We'll put it that way. The Raiders, like was mentioned earlier in the chat by Chad, they're on a 3-game win streak right now. They're playing some of their best football on the season. I still think they're something of a glass cannon. They score quite a bit, but their defense also gives up quite a bit. So there's not a lot of consistency in those terms. But you look at the Rams have lost 6 straight games. They're now a bottom 5 scoring offense in the NFL this year. Defense is still kind of there, although who knows when we're going to see Aaron Donald again. There's talk of him playing this weekend and then talk of him not playing for the rest of the year. So there's a wide variety of outcomes here. I don't think there's a wide variety of outcomes in the results of this game. Do I think the Raiders are a 2-7 team masquerading as a 5-7 team? Yeah, I do. I think they're playing good football right now. I don't think that's indicative of the team that they are. But is a team that's playing good football right now capable of beating this LA Rams team? Absolutely they are. So that, I think, is the only outcome that we're going to see this week, which is the Raiders victorious on the road in LA. That's the way I'm going to go with the pick straight up. But against the spread, the Raiders are laying 6 points on the road. This Raiders team is not that. I'm sorry. Maybe at home against a really bad team, just doesn't, I don't know, that 6 points doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 6 points on the LA Rams here, like the Raiders to win, but I'll take the 6 points on the Rams. Total in the game set at 44.5. Seems like a really beatable number if this Rams offense was playing like normal. Now, Cam Akers had arguably his best game of the season last week. I don't necessarily know that changes the outcome here. I'm going to stick under on this one, although this is a pretty good number. I think this is relatively close. I'm going to go 23-20 Raiders. So we're going to take the Raiders to win, take the Rams plus the 6 points, and give me the under on the total. Chad says witness. Excellent. Thank you. Let's move right along here to the Jets and the Bills, battle of the AFC East. Jets not on any kind of a streak. I would say they're kind of playing some down football right now. I think they've only won 2 of their last 5 games. They've had some injuries that have caught up to them, inconsistencies at quarterback, although now that they've got Mike White in there, he's at least playing at something of a higher level than Zach Wilson was. But still, this is a team that is not really predicated on its offense. It's a team that's predicated on its defense. Top 10 scoring defense so far this season. Worth noting, the Jets are on the tail end of back-to-back road games coming into this one. And they're playing a Bills team that is top 5 in terms of scoring offense and scoring defense so far this year. And a Bills team that's on a 3-game winning streak. So they've played solid football, really good football, in fact, all season long. Feels like they might be peaking at the right time. I don't see any reason to try to grab an upset here. I like the Buffalo Bills to get this win, and I like it so much, actually, that Buffalo over the New York Jets, even though it's a division game, is going to be my gold pick straight up this week. Buffalo over the Jets, my gold pick straight up. Now, Buffalo is laying 9.5 points against the spread. This just feels like a lot of points in a division game. Not saying they're not capable of covering this, because my God, it's the Bills. They're one of the best teams in football. Of course, they're capable of covering this number. Notable, I see Cat's not here. Riley's not right now, but notable, it's another number that's exactly 9.5, but not 10. We might see it move to 10 after this, but it I think Cat's on to something here. But yeah, I think I got to take the plus 9.5 with the Jets. It just feels like a lot of points for a division game. So let's take the plus 9.5. Total in the game set at 43.5. I feel pretty darn good about this number, staying under two teams that are predicated on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to stay under on this one. And actually, I like this under so much that Jets Bills under 43.5 is going to be my gold pick on my totals as well. Jets Bills under 43.5, my gold pick on my totals. Let's go Bills 23, Jets 17. Like the Bills to win the game outright. Give me the points plus 9.5 with the Jets and give me an under on the point total. So Chad's here still talking about the first game. It makes me wonder just how long the delay might be on the stream. Who knows? Hopefully it's not too bad. We'll see if we can still keep up with the folks in chat. We will move right along to the Cleveland Browns on the road in Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Both of these teams have won at least their last two games. Cincinnati is on a 4-game winning streak right now, playing some of their best football on both sides of the ball. The Browns, to their credit, they've won back-to-back games. The scoring offense is good, but kind of the same as the Raiders. A little bit of that glass cannon stuff where they're a top 10 scoring offense, but they're a bottom 10 scoring defense. So we did see Deshaun Watson make his return to the NFL last week, and that was against, a Houston team that's not going to provide a lot of resistance, obviously, on either side of the ball. So it's an emotional matchup to return to, but probably a solid one. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're going to take a slight time out here because what did Deshaun's numbers look like there? I did pick him up in one league. See, he didn't exactly have a good performance against, a bad Texans defense. Only completed 12 of 22 passes for a $131 and an interception. So he did have 21 rushing yards, but yeah, didn't exactly look great. Now, I mean, again, he hasn't played in quite some time, so I guess it's understandable. We would expect him to come back up to speed in the coming weeks, but you're talking about playing a team on the tail end of back-to-back road games. You are, and now playing a team that's got, legitimate Super Bowl aspirations and who just knocked off the Chiefs last week. I might, in some cases, look at a game like this and say, well, emotional letdown for the Bengals after that huge win last week. Not Joe Burrow, man. There is something like this. This kid's just got it. Like Joe Burrow's just got it. He's a dude. No moments are too big for him. It's not going to be one of these situations where you're going to have that emotional dump, that adrenaline dump from winning a huge game. Joe Burrow wins huge games. That's just what he does. So I don't expect Cincinnati to be any less potent this week than they were last week. I don't think the Browns have the defense to keep up with them. So let's go ahead and grab the Cincinnati Bengals here at home to get the win over Cleveland. Now, against the spread, Cincinnati is laying 6 points as a home favorite. It's under a touchdown. I feel pretty darn good about laying this points. Let's lay the -6 with Cincinnati. And as a matter of fact, Cincinnati -6 points is going to be my gold pick against the spread this week. Cincinnati -6, my gold pick against the spread. Total in the game set at 47.5 points. I feel pretty decent about this going over. Two pretty good offenses. Cleveland's defense, don't really know what you're going to think about it, or rather what the output is that you're going to get from that defense in terms of points allowed on the board. I think we got to go over on this one. Over 47.5 points in Cincinnati, Cleveland. Let's go Bengals 30, Browns 21. Bengals win, Bengals cover, and give me the over on the points. Let's see. Chad says Buffalo to win, but Jets plus 10. Like it, like it. Brian says like it as well. Chad, Cleveland won 5 in a row against Cincinnati. That's very interesting. That's really interesting, in fact. Huh. That's a piece of information that I did not come across. So, I'm not going to change the pick, but that's actually exceptionally interesting to hear. Maybe if the game was in Cleveland, I might look at this as a possible. Like, I mean, if it was in Cleveland, I assume the Browns would only be like maybe +3 or something like that. So, I could have been something I would have looked at a little harder, but I feel pretty good about the Bengals in this spot. But that's very interesting. The aforementioned Houston Texans are going to hit the road and go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Like, nothing's easy for Houston. Battle of Texas here, of course, but nothing's easy for poor Houston. Houston is riding a 7-game losing streak right now, a bottom 5 scoring offense, one of the worst in the league were it not for Denver. They're also a bottom 10 scoring defense. So once again, they just really do not offer too much in terms of resistance. You know what I mean? Like maybe a little more on the defensive side, but offensively, they offer you almost nothing, which again, it hurts me because I'm a Davis Mills guy. The Cowboys have won 3 straight games. They are a top 5 scoring offense. They are a top 5 scoring defense. As we mentioned, they are 5-2 against the spread at home this year, and also 5-2 as a betting favorite, which they are in this game heavy. We'll talk about that here in a second. Obviously, we're going to be on the Dallas Cowboys here to pick up a very convincing win. Just how much more do I have to say about that? Better football team against one that's not very good. So let's grab the Dallas Cowboys and not think too much more about it. Now, I want to take you back to those innocent days of, I don't know, I want to say like 2019 maybe. I'm doing an episode of this show and I go on like a 5-minute rant about a game that I think had some ridiculous point spread. I think it was like 17, 18 points. It might have been the Jets against somebody, might have been the Jets and the Chiefs or something like that. It was a massive spread. And I went on this like 5-minute rant about how like these are professionals and in the NFL you shouldn't see college spreads. And that's what that is. Like a spread of more than 16 points is like of course there are results of games that cover that. But I mean, like, for that to be an official betting spread is like embarrassing for any legitimate book to put that out. And I tell this story because the Houston Texans are taking plus 17 this week against Dallas. My stance on this has not changed. That's a college spread. It's embarrassing for any legitimate book to put that out there as a spread. And I'm taking the plus 17 on Houston because it's just an embarrassing spread for a legitimate book to put out. And I understand that their numbers are what they are. The numbers get spit out and that's what they go with. And I get it. But to lay 17 points on a team, that's not like an alternate spread. It's just the base spread. An alternate spread there would be minus 23 on a 6-point teaser. It's ridiculous. It's awful. The fact that any legitimate book would put it out is just wholly embarrassing. So I'm taking the plus 17 on Houston. And as a matter of principle, Houston plus 17 is going to be my bronze pick against the spread. On a matter of principle. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys are my bronze pick straight up. My bronze pick straight up is the Dallas Cowboys to win, but Houston plus 17 is my bronze pick against the spread because, again, it's embarrassing. It's awful. Yes, there are results that cover that number, but it should never be a legitimate book's point spread. Like last week was bad enough when, who was it? Somebody was minus. That's why I'm glad I write stuff down in the book now. Was it last week that somebody was laying no, it was 2 weeks ago. Must have been. Yeah. The Chiefs laying 14.5 against the Rams. I don't even remember if they covered that number or not, but that was bad enough. The 17 points, come on. It's awful. Total in that game set at 44.5 points. I have to go over on it because I assume Houston will score something. And Dallas, we know, is going to score a bunch. So we're going to have to go over the 44.5 point total here. I'm going to go 31-17. Think of how convincing a win 31-17 is. It's 2 full touchdowns. So that's an exceptionally convincing win that does not cover the point spread. We can have both. So we're going to take Dallas to win as the bronze pick. We're going to take Houston plus 17 as the bronze pick. And we're going to go over the point total. A 31-17 win for Dallas gets them the win, but Houston covers on the points. So Brian makes an excellent point. I think the book spread is a reaction to the Indianapolis game. Absolutely. 100%. And this is definitely a line that if you don't feel comfortable about it, as Brian actually literally just pointed out in the chat right now, I'll take Houston, but I'll take less odds and bump it to 21.5. That's fine. Alternate spreads are completely legitimate. No problem at all. But just again, for this to be a legitimate spread, it just bugs me. There's my rant. All right. We're going to continue with another divisional matchup. The Minnesota Vikings in Detroit taking on the Detroit Lions. Minnesota on a 2-game winning streak, having won back-to-back weeks. Detroit's not streaking, but they're playing really good football right now. I think they've won 4 of their last 5 games. Detroit's playing great football. I think it's too little too late in terms of, trying to sneak into that final wild card spot. I still feel like that's too little too late, but good on the Detroit Lions for playing some of their best football, especially with one of the worst scoring defenses in the NFL. So we're going to go ahead and look at this division matchup here. 2, I think, pretty decent teams, at the very least, decent teams lately. The Vikings are, a model of sort of middle of the roads in terms of scoring offense and scoring defense. They're not in the top 10. They're not in the bottom 10. Detroit's been putting points on the board as a top 10 scoring offense, bottom 5 scoring defense. So Detroit, their problem is obvious. They can't stop anybody. This is a really interesting game to me because Detroit come into this one as the favorites without any significant injury to Minnesota's side. It's really interesting to me that yes, even though Detroit is playing really good football right now, it's the Vikings that have won back-to-back games, but they're going to come into this as a dog. And as a matter of fact, they're a 2.5 point dog. So it's not like it's like a pick 'em or it's a point or something. It's 2.5 points. So it's not insignificant. I have to believe the Vikings are the better team between these two. So if you're going to give me 2.5 points on the team that I think is better, I'm going to bite on that, and I'm going to grab the Minnesota Vikings as one of my upsets this week. So I'm going to grab the Minnesota Vikings on the road in Detroit to get the win over the Lions. Minnesota beats Detroit. On the line, like I mentioned, Lions are laying 2.5 points. I like Minnesota to win. Give me the plus 2.5, and thank you very much. Total in the game is set at 53.5 points, and there are very few things in the NFL that you can really take to the bank. One thing you can take to the bank is a Detroit Lions home game is going over the point total. That's one of the very few things that you can almost bank on this season. So we're going to go over 53.5 points. And as a matter of fact, I like that so much. Minnesota, Detroit, over 53.5. It's my platinum pick on my totals this week. Minnesota, Detroit, over 53.5. Let's go Vikings 30, Lions 27. Vikings get the win. Obviously, Vikings cover against the spread and give me the over on the point total. All right, we're approaching 40 minutes on the stream. I said I wanted to keep it to 75, so we're gonna have to pick up the pace here a little bit, but that's all right. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the road in Tennessee to take on a Titans team that all of a sudden has lost 2 straight games. And as was mentioned in the chat a little bit earlier, the Tennessee Titans parting ways with general manager John Robinson. They had just signed him to an extension. I believe he's been the GM there for 6 or 7 years. They parted ways with him. What an intense reaction, like a snap reaction almost, it feels, to getting absolutely decimated by the wide receiver that they just traded. Like, it's it I guess I get where it comes from, but man, oh man, like that seems like a hefty overreaction to part ways with your GM just because he traded a wide receiver and they beat you up in a game. Like, it's not like they traded him to a division rival. Like, how frequently are Tennessee and Philadelphia going to play each other? I guess I get it, but it just seems like, I don't know, seems like a very weird snap reaction. But they parted ways with the GM, so there is a GM opening, and you've got a team that's got some interesting young pieces on it. Obviously, you got one of the best running backs in football. It's it's a not unattractive GM job, because you got to think Tennessee's going to be competitive in a fairly weak division for at least the next couple of years. So it's got to be a somewhat attractive GM position. Titans are a bottom 10 scoring offense, so that does certainly play into it a little bit. Defensively, I would say they're solid. Jacksonville's kind of in middle of the road in both cases. They don't score a ton of points, but they don't score none. They don't give up a ton of points, but they don't give up none either. The Jags are a team that is kind of on a decline right now in their play. I think they've only won 2 of their last 5 games. Tennessee, like we mentioned, on kind of a back-to-back losing streak. It's kind of tough because they're, teams that know each other very well. But if the Tennessee Titans are going to make any noise in the postseason this year, they kind of have to start playing Titans football. They kind of have to start playing playoff style football. And this feels like a good opportunity for that to start against a division rival who they know very well. I'm looking at seeing a virtuoso Tennessee Titans performance this week. Let's take the Titans here in a big win over a division rival. Tennessee beats Jacksonville. On the line, the Titans are laying 3.5 points here as a home favorite. I'm going to take them to cover that number. And as a matter of fact, Tennessee minus 3.5. I'm going to make that my platinum pick against the spread this week. As I mentioned, I'm looking at a virtuoso Titans performance this week. That's what I want to see. Give me the minus 3.5 and give me that as my platinum pick. Total in the game set at 41.5 points. I'm going to take the under because I think the Titans defense steps up here in this game as well. Under 41.5 points in Jacksonville, Tennessee. Let's go Titans 23, Jags 13. Tennessee wins, Tennessee covers, and give me the under on the points. Speaking of the aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles, we are going to see the Eagles on the road in New York, taking on the Giants. Now, the Eagles are on a 3-game winning streak, top 5 scoring offense, top 10 scoring defense. A lot has gone right for the Eagles this year, coming off of a very solid win against a game opponent in the AFC. The New York Giants, their play has declined as of late. 1-3-1 straight up in their last 5 games. They're still in the thick of the playoff conversation, but not exactly peaking and playing playoff caliber football right now. The Giants, kind of like Jacksonville, even money with the scoring offense and the scoring defense, more predicated on their defense than they are on their offense, but they're not a top 10 scoring defense. So still kind of middle of the pack, all things considered. So division game, obviously anything can happen. Philly's playing much better football right now. Gotta believe the Eagles are the team that comes out on top here. The Giants are going to be up for this game. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is going to be an emotionally charged football game, as most division games are. Got to grab the Eagles here, though, as the better football team top to bottom. Let's take Philadelphia to beat New York. On the line here, Philly is laying 6.5 points as a road favorite. And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, at home, the Giants are 5-2 against the spread. Not only that, on the road, the Eagles are 1-4. So the Eagles have not been performing against the spread on the road this year. They've been favorites a lot, but just on the road, just in general, not performing all that well, while the Giants have been getting the job done in their home building. So by the look of this, since they're 5-2, is this their second to last home game? I would say something like that. So look, 5-2 against the spread at home. And the Giants also 7-1 against the spread, like we mentioned, as a betting dog. Take those points all day long in a division game. I'm going to take the Giants here, hedge my bets, take the Giants plus the 6.5. And in fact, I like that so much that New York plus the 6.5 points going to be my silver pick against the spread this week. Giants plus 6.5, silver pick against the spread. Total in the game set at 45.5 points. I actually feel fairly good about this going over. I think the Giants score a bit more than they typically do this week. The Eagles are certainly going to get their points, and since I like the Eagles to win, I think this crawls over the point total. Let's go 27-23 Philadelphia. Give me the Eagles to win. Give me the Giants to cover against the spread, and give me the over on the points. See, now Chad says in the chat, Tennessee's won 5 in a row against Jacksonville. That's a 5 in a row streak that I can believe. Like, it was harder for me to believe the one about Cleveland and Cincinnati. It is not difficult for me to believe that one with Tennessee and Jacksonville. Chad says, my Eagles, baby, take the spread minus 6.5. Not going to do it. Not going to do it this time. All right, 6 games left. The Baltimore Ravens on the road in Pittsburgh to take on a Steelers team that has won back-to-back football games, playing better football and not fully out of the conversation, I guess, in terms of the playoff picture. It's kind of one of those situations where they have to win out. And look, let's be transparent. The only 2 teams that have been mathematically eliminated at this point are Houston and Chicago. Those are the only 2 teams that have been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. There's 30 teams that are still mathematically alive for a playoff spot. There's 14 playoff spots? So 30 teams, 14 spots, you do the math. Most of them aren't going to make it. But those are only the only 2 teams so far that have been flat out eliminated from playoff contention. It's going to be tough for the Steelers with a bottom 5 scoring offense to make much noise, but against a Ravens team that, despite the fact that they're playing really well right now, this is the first time we're going to talk about any kind of injury situation, and it's potentially a massive one for Baltimore. It's quarterback Lamar Jackson. He came up with was it an ankle or a knee? A knee injury that he's dealing with now. The prognosis on that seems to be good. There's conversation about him potentially playing this week, but there's a really great follow on Twitter. I'm going to retweet some of his stuff a little bit later. And he talks about football, sports injuries, but really focuses in on NFL injuries, and kind of talked about this as like a 2 to 3 week time frame for Lamar. So him playing this week, I understand it's a division game. It's a game that you want to win, but like, that's kind of playing with fire a little bit, at least potentially. It's a touch and go situation. I'm playing this as if Lamar is not going to play. I consider Lamar week to week. That's me personally, in my non-professional medical opinion. I don't think he plays this week. So I think that Tyler Huntley, who's the backup quarterback, in Baltimore right now. So obviously that changes the offensive dynamic. They might get J.K. Dobbins back this week, which would be a boon. And again, they are playing good football right now. It's certainly going to be a low scoring game. So, spoilers, I'm on the under of a very low number. It's a number in the 30s. I'm still going to go under on it because two teams mostly predicated on the defensive side of the ball and either don't have a great scoring offense or their scoring offense is currently severely limited by the fact that they probably won't have their starting quarterback. However, you give me the better football team with the points. A lot of the time, I'm going to bite on that. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2.5-point favorites at home, obviously expecting that Lamar Jackson will not play. If Lamar does play, which is a possibility on the range of outcomes that he might play this week, I'm going to take the better team with the points. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to get an upset win here. Let's take Baltimore in Pittsburgh to get the win over the Steelers, even though full points to the Steelers for playing some of their best football of the season in the last few weeks. Still going to take the Ravens plus the points. Give me Baltimore plus the 2.5 as well. Again, better team with the points. I'm usually going to grab them. Total in this game set at 36.5 points. I already told you I'm sticking under on this one. Let's go Baltimore 17, Pittsburgh 16. That's been a very popular score around here lately. So I'm going to take the Ravens to win, the Ravens to cover, and give me the under on the points. Now we got a game I'm not going to spend a ton of time on because, my God, it's a great team against a team that is not going to do anything or go anywhere this year. The Kansas City Chiefs on the road in Denver taking on the Broncos. Like I mentioned, Denver 1-4 against the spread this year at home. And yeah, like, oh boy, just what an awful season. Losers of 4 straight games. Kansas City, despite the loss last week, playing exceptional football lately. I think they've won 4 of their last 5 games. Obviously, top 5 scoring offense. The defense is kind of keeping close with that. They are on the tail end of back-to-back road games. It's worth taking into consideration. But for a Denver team that plays good defense, but Lord knows if they're ever going to score a point, it's almost impossible to look at this as a possible upset. Like, I'd love to. Like, look, upsets are in my blood. Like, I like picking them. I really enjoy picking them. But especially with a Denver team who could be without Cortland Sutton this week, one of their bigger weapons at wide receiver. He has a hamstring injury. I consider him week to week, especially soft tissue. Just can't do it. So definitely on the Kansas City Chiefs here to extend that Broncos losing streak to 5 straight. Let's take the Chiefs straight up in Denver to beat the Broncos. And why don't we just mess around and make that my platinum pick straight up? Let's go ahead and do that. Kansas City over Denver, my platinum pick straight up. On the line, Denver's taking 9 points here as a home dog. And usually on, a top 5 defense, I'd take those points. But again, it's a two-way street. The offense has to be able to score. And I don't know that the Denver offense will. So I'm going to lay the 9 points on Kansas City, even though the Chiefs, we've talked about it before, they're not a team that's built to keep up with Vegas's expectations of them. They're just a team that's built to win football games. So is it a layup that they're going to cover this -9? No, definitely not. But I am going to go ahead and lay it because they might only need to get to 17 to cover -9. And that's like half of what you could expect from a Chiefs game offensively. So we're going to go ahead and lay the -9 and not think too much about it. Total in the game set at 43.5 here. And in the same vein, like I can't expect Denver to score points because they haven't scored points all year. I don't know what the worst scoring season, like in terms of per game average. I don't know what that is in NFL history, but like Denver's got to be knocking on that door. That offense is so bad. So even though it's 43 and a half and it's such a beatable number, I'm going to take the under on it, and I'm going to make that my silver pick because when you don't see one team scoring points or getting into double digits, even a number in the 40s can sometimes be really difficult to get to. So I'm going to take the under on 43 and a half. Let's go 24-13 in favor of the Chiefs. Chiefs win, Chiefs cover. Give me the under on the points. Let's see. Chad taking Minnesota plus 2.5. Gotta love it. Tennessee still respect minus 3.5. Excellent. Nothing better than indoor football in December. Hey, there you go. Like Chad said before, Tennessee won 5 in a row against Jacksonville. Chad saying Pittsburgh's won 4 in a row. Last 2 games within 3 points. Baltimore looks sloppy. I took Pittsburgh. Baltimore the results have been there, but you're right. Like, you're absolutely right in saying that Baltimore certainly have not been playing flawless football. Not even close. Like, what a struggle that was for them last week after Lamar went down. It was a significant struggle for them to like just barely get the job done there. I understand, and they are definitely playing sloppy football, but I think chalk it up to, again, marginally better team with the points, AFC North. Chalk it up to whatever you'd like, I guess. All right, what do we got? We got 4 games left. The Tampa Bay Bucks in San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And we're still talking about injuries. And this one's a significant one. Second significant quarterback injury this year for the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo has either broken something in his foot or hasn't, depending on who you talk to. In any case, he seems to be done for the season. Could potentially come back at some point in the playoffs. Hopefully for San Francisco's sake, he does. So he's out, and Mr. Irrelevant becomes Mr. Relevant all of a sudden. And San Francisco, I think it was very clear, was going to be making a claim on Baker Mayfield when he got waived. So there's this conspiracy theory floating around NFL Twitter right now that the only reason the Rams claimed him was so that the Niners couldn't get him, because the Niners had a lower waiver priority than the Rams did. So I love the stuff that NFL Twitter comes up with, and it might be true. Might be 100% true. So it'll be very interesting to see how this Niners offense performs without like the ultimate game manager at quarterback. Like, we'll have to see how important is Jimmy Garoppolo to that offense really. Is Garoppolo just a game manager, or is he more fundamental to that offense than people think? It'll be very interesting to see. And against a game opponent in Tampa Bay who won last week, they're kind of on the upswing a little bit. I think they've won 3 out of 5. Tampa needs to start playing the kind of football that we saw in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game last night. Now, granted, they were against an opponent who has a starting quarterback who has a penchant for giving games away in Andy Dalton. But that still felt like pretty virtuoso Tom Brady drive there at the end of that game for the Bucks. They're still a bottom 10 scoring offense. They're a top 5 scoring defense, as are the 49ers. Tampa Bay needs this game a lot more than San Francisco does. That division is still exceptionally close for Tampa Bay, but they still have enough runway to run away with it. If all 3 of the other teams in that division are just going to keep bashing heads together, Tampa Bay puts together a 3-4 game win streak, all of a sudden, like, they're in the clear and they're on their way to the playoffs. So anything can happen here. Maybe Tampa Bay has sandbagged the regular season a little bit. I actually like the Bucks in this spot. I need to see what that Niners offense is going to look like before I feel super confident with them. I'm going to grab the Bucks here. Tampa Bay on the road in San Francisco, despite the fact that the Niners are on a 5-game winning streak and playing excellent football right now and do have the nuclear weapon of this game in Christian McCaffrey. Let's grab Tampa Bay in the upset. Bucks beat the 49ers in San Francisco. So obviously where the Niners are laying 3.5 points here as the home favorite, I like Tampa to win. Give me the plus 3.5 on the Bucks. Total in this game set at 37.5 points. Another one of my favorite totals this week. I like this to stay under because, again, 2 top 5 scoring defenses just smashing into those offensive lines. It's going to be tough sledding on both sides. Give me the under on these points. I like that so much. The Tampa Bay, San Francisco, under 37.5, which is, again, a very beatable number, but under 37.5 is going to be my bronze pick here on the totals. Tampa, San Francisco, under 37.5, my bronze pick on the totals. Give me 20-13 in favor of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Bucks win, Bucks cover, and give me the under. Chiefs have won 13 in a row, says Chad. Taking Denver to cover due to the high elevation, I suppose, but boy, again, where are the points going to come from? I don't know. We'll see. All right, we got 3 games left on the slate here. We've just crossed the hour mark, so an hour 15 might be ambitious, but let's see what we can do. The Carolina Panthers on the road in Seattle, taking on Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Carolina coming into this game fresh off of their bye, so they should be well rested. This is a bottom 10 scoring offense on the season so far. Defense can play some football for sure, but we are looking at, again, a bottom 10 scoring defense. We're going to put that person in timeout. Haha. We are going to report you for this. Let's see. Let's do that. Thank you kindly. And we'll see what happens in 5 minutes. the joys of doing live streaming. So again, Panthers coming off the bye. Bottom 10 scoring offense. Defense can play some ball. I think they've only won 2 of their last 5 games, so not exactly playing exceptional football right now. Meanwhile, Seattle, the definition of the glass cannon that we like to talk about. Top 5 scoring offense, bottom 5 scoring defense. They score a ton of points, and they give up a ton of points, and it's tough to have faith in teams like that. It's just exceptionally difficult. We are also looking at a Seattle team that could very well be without Kenneth Walker, who's their starting running back, obviously. He has an ankle injury. I consider him week to week. He hasn't been ruled out, but that backfield is kind of hurting here. Like Kenneth Walker's dealing with an ankle injury. DJ Dallas, who would be next in line, is also dealing with an injury. I think the other back in their room is also potentially injured. So there's a lot of turmoil, unfortunately, and a lot of uncertainty in who's going to be back behind center with the quarterback there at the running back position for Seattle. We know what that Seahawks team is. Again, high scoring, just very gunslingery type of team, put up a ton of points, but tough to stop anybody. I think this is going to be actually a heck of a week here for Donta Foreman. Boy, this is tough. Seattle's the better football team, top to bottom, I think. But this feels prime for an upset. But I think this is what I'm going to do because it's entirely possible that Kenneth Walker does play in this game. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win. This is a bad hedge. But I'm going to take the Seahawks to win, but I'm going to hedge against the spread. So let's take Seattle to win this game, but I'm going to take Carolina plus the 3.5 points. So this it insulates me against the upset because the upset here I think is live. I think it's possible. So I think it's probably the smart way to go about it. Again, I think Seattle's the better team, but give me the plus 3.5. So Seattle to win, give me Carolina against the spread. Total in the game set at 43.5. I think I got to go over on this because, again, Seattle's penchant for scoring a lot and giving up a lot. That's a pretty beatable number. So let's go ahead and take over 43.5 points in Seattle, Carolina. And let's go with the ever popular 24-23 final score. Let's say Seattle wins it on a dying seconds field goal. Take Seattle to win the game. Take the plus 3.5 with Carolina and give me the over on the points. Martin's along with me there. I like the Seahawks to win. Thumbs up. The Miami Dolphins on the road in Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Miami has won 4 of their last 5 games, playing exceptional football right now. They're scoring at a top 10 pace. The defense does leave something to be desired. They're giving up points at a bottom 10 pace, so they definitely need to improve because when you think about, like, let's say Miami, Cleveland, and Las Vegas, you kind of think one of these teams is not like the other. You wouldn't exactly put Miami in the same category as those other two, but the conditions there are the same. Top 10 scoring offense, bottom 10 scoring defense. Miami's had a little more success with it this season, but those conditions are the same. Dolphins also come into this one on the tail end of back-to-back road games. The LA Chargers, I believe they've only won 2 of their last 5 games, so kind of on a downswing here. Their offense has been middling. It's been the defense that's really let the Chargers down this year. A bottom 5 scoring defense in the NFL so far this season. Justin Herbert and the offense have been underwhelming, but it's tough to find success when your defense can't get stops. So that's kind of the conditions that we're operating with in this one. I have to believe the Dolphins are the better football team here. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be an exciting game. It's got a high total on it. I think we see a lot of points. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins here because, again, top to bottom, I think they're the better football team. Let's take Miami on the road to get the win over the Chargers. On the line, the Chargers are 3-point dogs here at home against Miami. I like Miami to win. -3 is a relatively small price to pay. Let's go ahead and lay the -3 on the Dolphins. As we mentioned earlier, the Chargers are 3-1 against the spread as a dog this year, but I'm going to be bucking against that trend and laying the -3 on Miami. Total in this game set at 52.5 points. Even though it's one of the bigger totals of the week, I do like this total to go over. So give me the over 52.5 in Miami, Los Angeles. Let's go 30-24 in favor of the Dolphins. Miami wins. Miami covers. Give me the over on the points. Martin likes the Seahawks to win. Chad likes Miami -3. Excellent. Feel good about that. And here we go. Monday Night Football. The New England Patriots on the road in Arizona taking on the Cardinals. Not exactly a marquee Monday night matchup, but hey, we've seen a lot worse this season. Both of these teams are losers of 2 straight games. So we're looking at a context where that streak's going to break for somebody, ideally, unless we have a Washington, New York situation where we wind up with a tie. Can you imagine that? Can we just pause for a second? NFL Twitter will be on fire if we have back-to-back weeks of ties, for one, but a tie in prime time. NFL Twitter would be at its finest form if that were to happen. So both of these teams middling offensively, not in the top 10 or bottom 10 in terms of the scoring offense. Defensively, the Patriots far and away the better football team. Arizona, in fact, a bottom 5 scoring defense this season. Like I mentioned, both teams have lost 2 straight games. Arizona is coming into this one off of their bye, so they will at the very least be well rested. It's tough to have faith in Kyler Murray. Like, it's from almost everything that we've seen this year, it's just difficult to have faith in the guy. but it's also becoming difficult to have faith in the Patriots quarterback room as well, simply because it doesn't seem like the Patriots have faith in what the Patriots offer in the quarterback room. Like, whether you're a Patriots fan or you're not, can you honestly sit there and say, like, yeah, this Patriots team has faith in Mac Jones, or that this Patriots team has faith in Bailey Zappi? I think even hardcore Patriots fans probably can't make that claim. So this feels like a toss up to me. It, I want to take the Patriots because I know they're head and shoulders the better defense. So that, like, I lean on the defensive side, so that makes me want to take the Patriots. But I think I'm going to grab the upset here. And it's not just that I've only taken 3 upsets so far and rule of 4, which did fail to hit last week. So it's not just that, but I don't know. I feel something about this game. This game just gives me one of those gut feelings that it's a game that's primed for an upset because neither one of these teams are particularly impressive. Call it a gut feeling, but we're going to go ahead and grab Arizona. Even though, as Martin just points out in the chat, Arizona loses a lot at home. They're not a great home team, not by a long shot. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Arizona here. I'm going to take the Cards in the upset. Arizona upsets the Patriots on Monday Night Football. On the line, the Cards are taking plus 1.5 against the spread. So since I'm taking them to win, got to take the plus 1.5, a 2-0 or 0-2 game. Total in this game set at 44.5. I'm feeling an over here because if Arizona is going to win, I don't think they're going to win on the defensive side. So I think it's Arizona winning a shootout. So in that case, you got to take the over on a pretty middling number there of 44.5. Let's go over 44.5 in Arizona, New England. Let's go 27-21 in favor of the Cards. Cards win, Cards cover, and give me the over on the points. There you have it, folks. Those are your picks for week 14 in NFL action in 2022. Let's go over the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks with you here one more time. Straight up, my platinum pick, Kansas City over Denver. My gold pick, Buffalo over the New York Jets. My silver pick, Philadelphia over the New York Giants. So not only going against both New York teams in my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, but my top 3 picks are all division games. Kind of worried about that. And the bronze pick, the Dallas Cowboys over the Houston Texans. And the only reason that Dallas and Houston is in my bronze position is because last week I think Dallas was my platinum pick and I picked against Houston in my gold pick. So I just wanted to shove that game a little bit further down the picks so that I'm not just regurgitating myself. I'm not just repeating myself every week, putting the same teams in the same positions. So that's why that game is so low in those picks. Against the spread, platinum pick, Tennessee minus 3.5. Gold pick, Cincinnati minus 6. Silver pick, the New York Giants plus 6.5. And the bronze pick, as a matter of principle, Houston plus 17. On the totals, Minnesota and Detroit over 53.5. Gold pick, the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills under 43.5 points. My silver pick, Kansas City and Denver under 43.5. And the bronze pick, Tampa Bay and San Francisco under 37.5. So there are your picks. That is the show for week 14. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me this week. Obviously, an abbreviated schedule with only the 13 games, but I appreciate it very, very much. Martin in the chat says I like mixing them up too. Yeah, I don't want to ever be that guy that's coming on here and saying the exact same thing week in and week out, betting on the same teams week in and week out. You got to mix it up. Nothing in the NFL is static, so got to mix it up a little bit. Got to love it. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the show this week, and we will see you again in week 15, the first week of the fantasy football playoffs. Best of luck to you if you make it. All right, there is the recorded portion of the show Dunskies for this week, and look at that, an hour 14. Just got the show in that amount of time. But now, of course, we're into the bonus content portion of the show. So there you go. Those are the picks for 14. What do you think? What do you like? What do you hate? Let's see. What did we get? We got some contentiousness on let's see. Raiders covering -6 from Chad. Cleveland +6 also from Chad. Let's see. Oh, Brian, I missed this. I bumped the Tennessee-Dallas game to Tennessee +17.5, and you see what happened there. Sorry, man. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Dallas at -17. Anyone? Not me. Let's see. Eagles -6.5. That was also from Chad. Denver to cover was also from Chad. Let's see. Martin in the chat says 13 games. I was working at a call center, so I only heard 5 scores, but I don't mind listening to your replay. That's why I love those timestamps. And Martin, that's why I try to get those timestamps up there for you as quickly as possible. Usually they're up within about half hour, 45 minutes from when the show is over. It's one of the first things that I do is I go back, I play the episode, I skip ahead a bunch, find the beginnings of the games, try to get those timestamps in there ASAP. It's not all for you, my friend, but I think about you every week that I do that because I know that you appreciate the timestamps quite a bit, and I think it's something helpful. Again, I consider it a service to the audience to put the timestamps in there. So that's what we definitely do. So we're looking now for back-to-back weeks. Ideally, fingers crossed, we're looking for back-to-back weeks of being over 500 across the board. Looking for over 500 against the spread, over 500 on the totals, and then, of course, obviously over 500 straight up. If we're not over 500 straight up, it's going to be a bad week. Thanks for the effort. I may not necessarily listen to it immediately, but it's so nice. Boom, boom. Martin, I love that ending to the Bucs Saints game. Yeah, honestly, it was kind of cool to see because it was that moment of like, death, taxes, and Tom Brady being good at football. Like it finally kind of came back to something that is familiar. And let's see. Thanks for extra time. Cold out here, not going out. Yeah, fair enough. I imagine today was not too bad here. It got a little warmer in the afternoon. It's kind of petering off now. And listen, I want to thank you guys for being here with the live stream. Today was kind of operating with performing with a little bit of a heavy heart. Those who know. Those who don't, maybe we'll talk about it sometime. But the 6th of December is not an easy day for me, and he's not an easy day for the family. So, kind of did the show this week a little bit under duress. But listen, I appreciate everybody for being here in the chat. We had multiple people in the chat for quite a while. I think we had upwards of 8 or 9 concurrent at the beginning of the show, which is also very nice. And, I appreciate it, especially on a day like today. I appreciate it that much more. So we're going to go ahead and get you out of there, or get you out of here, I should say, inside of an hour 20, which is super cool. So that's going to be it for the stream this week. We'll be back next week. I don't know what the scheduling is going to be like for next week because I don't have my work schedule yet for next week. But once I know, you will know. keep an eye on my Twitter at blockbuster_guy. And I usually try to announce that at least a day ahead of time. So thank you so much for being here for the stream. We will see you again for week 15. And I do truly mean that. If you make the fantasy football playoffs, which it looks like I will in 2 leagues, including Ante and Co., which is kind of nice. Hopefully make it in 2 leagues. I'm clinched in 1, but I should make it in the second one. You make it to the fantasy football playoffs. Best of luck to you. And 8 teams out of 12 should make the fantasy playoffs. That should be the standard, just in case Billy is watching. So thanks for tuning in this week, folks. We will see you again for week 15. Godspeed and party on.